there, and welcome back for our next term for AP US History. We are tackling Abraham Lincoln today. Here's your basic definition. The 16th President of the United States, serving from 1861 until his assassination in 1865, a Republican, primarily remembered for his leadership during the Civil War and role in the ending of slavery. So, how do we tackle Abraham Lincoln in a quick, very important term video? Well, we end up skipping quite a bit. So I'm going to do my best to provide a basic biography for you and then hit the most important things for the APUSH curriculum. So born in 1809 in Kentucky, his nickname's Honest Abe, the Rail Splitter, the Great Emancipator. His early life was somewhat tumultuous. He moved from Kentucky to Indiana to Illinois. His mother and younger brother died. He was a farmer, a rail splitter, a flatboatman. He also, once he decided he didn't want to be a farmer, worked as a storekeeper, postman, surveyor. He volunteered in the Black Hawk War, but didn't end up seeing any action. He ended up settling on studying law and then later ended up marrying Mary Todd, and they had 4 sons, whom only 2 survived to his assassination, and only 1 really survived into adulthood. Politically, he was a Whig member of the Illinois State Legislature. He was a Whig member of Congress, and he became the Republican president from 1861 to 65 when he was assassinated. So there are some of the basic details. Now let's get into what you should remember for the AP curriculum. The first thing you want to be aware of is the Senate election of 1858. Now, Lincoln loses this election. So why do we need to remember it? Well, a large part of that is because of his House Divided speech. It's one of his more famous speeches where he says, "I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the House to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided." Basically saying that the Union is not going to continue as half slave, half free. So these very heavy campaign debates between Lincoln and Stephen Douglas brought him more into national prominence, which obviously served him well just 2 years later in 1860. So let's chat about the next thing you should know, the election of 1860. Well, why is Lincoln successful? In huge part, it's because the Democratic Party was splintered. They had 2 separate Democratic candidates, and so Lincoln was able to win the election of 1860 with no Southern votes here. So this leads him into becoming president and the secession of the South and the beginnings of the Civil War. So what you need to be aware of is, what is his leadership like during the Civil War? Well, he directs the purpose of the war and also shifts it. It began as simply preserving the Union, but it shifts to also ending slavery. He managed home front opposition. Significant home front opposition to the war existed in the North, and so he dealt with Copperheads, the draft riots. He put in place martial law and suspended habeas corpus. All of these things were difficult to manage during the war. He had some significant actions. According to AP curriculum, you absolutely need to know the Emancipation Proclamation and the Gettysburg Address. Stay tuned for the next videos on those 2 events. And his role in as commander-in-chief, he really changed this role. He instituted the draft, the first wartime draft in American history. He limited civil liberties, which happens again in future wars. He maintained constant communication with the military through the telegraphs. He made significant shifts in military leadership as he fires George McClellan, replaces him, fires him again, replaces him with Grant, and he really set the strategy for the war. So what is the significance? Again, hard to break this down into just this short video, but he successfully waged a political struggle that preserved the Union. He ended slavery, first with the Emancipation Proclamation, and then more formally through Congress and the 13th Amendment. He paved the way for civil and social freedom for African Americans. And it did preview, his presidency did preview a more powerful role for the executive branch. Now, this is not to say that there are not criticisms of Abraham Lincoln. There are, and they are significant and important. However, that's not the purpose of the video here, and it's not something you would need to be aware of for your AP exam. So there's my quick video for you on Abraham Lincoln. I hope this was helpful for you. And if so, please like and subscribe.